I'd say I have both positive and negative hypervigilance. Like I'm constantly scanning for the next bad thing. I'm constantly looking for the next piano that is going to fall out of the sky and smush me in, or smush someone I love, or an opportunity I've been waiting for, right? I mean, I live in this hypervigilant state, which for my cardiac health and other health reasons, I'm trying to figure out a different way to be, but it's slow. But I'm also just as hypervigilant for the beauty,
Yeah.
and I think that's why I remain standing, right? It's
hmm
like I'm constantly looking what's coming for me or somebody I care about, or someone I've never met. I mean, just general cataclysms. I'm on high alert all the time. And then also I notice I just can't help it. I annoy my husband a lot because he's like, can you just like wake up one morning and just be like, ugh, why are we here?
Well, have you always been that way, or do you think? Because I feel like there's part of your book where you talk about efforts to move into a new way of being in relationship to the world. I mean, your book's about that.
Yes, I have. I mean, I've
Did you?
been deeply disillusioned. I've been deeply anxious. I remain both. I also have always been
Oh
able
my gosh.
to like search out some beautiful nugget of something inside the pain and suffering. And I think my parents taught me that.
Yeah.
I think that was survival training. Some kids get taught how to make a bed. I mean, I know how to make a bed, not well, but I got taught to be okay, like we might be dying now, but look at this unbelievable butterfly here that is on the butterfly bush we planted last weekend. Okay, you might be needing to say goodbye right now, but we're going to stop. We're going to get really good Costco hot dogs, on the way home. Nice. Whatever it is,
totally.
There was always, and my dad especially was really intentional about that. If he had to go get a scan or he got really bad blood work or whatever, he would always say, you have to do a nice thing after a really hard thing. So my mom would be really upset. They'd be driving home from the oncology at UCLA and he would be like, no, we're going out to lunch. And she'd be like, Howard, we just got the most devastating news. You're dying. I do not want to go out to a fancy lunch right now. And he'd be like, too bad.
It feels
like
that particular share right there, that example feels really wild to me, because there's a nuance that you address in the book around your father being like, we're moving on, we're going to be good, we need to be strong, we're not going to open up the emotions, which I respect. I grew up with a mom that I think was that way, even though her whatever, I won't get into my mom right now. I'm going to stick with this nuance, the nuanced complexity of this. There's a way that's a gift that he gave you.
Yes.
And you had to reckon with it too.
Oh, and it was a curse. It's the great gift. That's what I'm saying. The hypervigilance for both is both the great blessing of my life and also a curse. Yeah. Because what happens when you're a kid, right, is you inherit a cosmology from your parents. Until you know better, what they say is good, you think is good, right? Until you reach a clear developmental stage where you're like, maybe they're not right about everything, or so-and-so's family does things a little differently. But right, it takes a while for us to notice those things. In my family, admitting pain or suffering meant that, we weren't appreciating our privilege, and that it was a sign also of weakness.
Yeah.
That, part of appreciating was also demonstrating, I think, he never would have admitted this. He wasn't a man of, but, did a lot of deep reflection, and maybe he would have changed had he been able to live longer. I don't know. He died at 52, which now feels so young to me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It is. Jeez.
Particularly for a certain generation that, was not encouraged to talk about their feelings or to put words to negative emotions.
Yeah.
It took me a long time, as the book is about me needing to not confuse bravery with lack of vulnerability. Invulnerability and bravery are not the same thing, but I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
And that came from him. And so I'm trying to hold on to, what I think is bravery now, while also, still being able to do the bad stuff and the good stuff and appreciate both all at the same time. I just don't want to punish myself if I lose track of my gratitude for a second.
Sure.
Because I think that's human. No, none of us can live in that. The world is a wonderful, wondrous place all the time. And also that's a lie, right?
Yeah.
Because there is so much horror and pain and suffering and tragedy.